The twin suns of Vera Colony sank low, painting the cracked plains in red and gold. Dust floated in the hot air, carried by weak winds that whispered through broken fences and empty crop fields. Food was scarce, water scarcer still, but children still laughed and ran between the rusted huts. Among them was Elias, a skinny boy with untamed hair and restless eyes that never stayed on the ground for long. Beside him walked Mira, carrying a basket twice too big for her. She was the older one, calm where Elias was reckless, steady where he was wild. The two had been together since before they could remember. "Why do you always look at the stars?" Mira asked, adjusting the heavy basket on her hip. "You'll trip into a hole if you don't watch the ground." Elias grinned, brushing dust from his hands. "Because one day I won't be here, Mira. I'll be up there. I'll fly away from this broken place and see what's waiting in the dark." She gave him a small smile, tired but warm. "You always say that. And when you leave, what happens to me? Do I just stay behind and carry baskets forever?" Elias stopped walking. His eyes softened as he looked at her. He was only a boy, maybe 10, but his words carried something heavier than his years. "No, I'll come back. When I grow up, I'll marry you, Mira. I'll bring a ring, just like in the old stories. You'll see." Mira laughed, though the sound was thin. "You? Marry me? You can't even carry water without spilling it." "I'm serious," Elias said quickly. "When I grow up, I'll be strong, I'll be a man, and then I'll come back, I'll marry you, and we'll never be hungry again." For a moment, Mira wanted to believe him. She wanted to imagine a life where the skies gave rain, where the mines were not empty, and where Elias really did come back with a ring. But she had lived long enough to know promises often broke like old fences in a storm. Still, she answered softly, "Fine then, I'll wait. But don't you dare forget." Elias smiled wide, as if he had won a grand prize. "I won't. I never will." That night, when the suns were gone and the stars shone clear, Elias climbed the roof of the old hut where he lived. Mira joined him, wrapping her blanket tight against the cold. Together they looked at the endless black sky. "Do you think there are other people out there?" Mira whispered. "Yes," Elias said without hesitation. "Whole worlds. Rich ones, shining with lights. I'll go there. I'll bring back something beautiful for you, something better than anything here." Mira hugged her blanket tighter. "Just don't forget who you promised." "I won't," Elias repeated with a fire in his eyes. The wind carried their words into the night, into the stars Elias dreamed of. The next day, everything changed. A shuttle came to the colony. Its engines burned brighter than the sun's, its steel wings gleaming in the dust. The people gathered to watch, murmuring. Shuttles rarely came here. There was nothing to take, nothing to give. From the shuttle stepped tall men and women in dark uniforms. They carried devices that hummed softly, scanning the crowd. "We seek children with special aptitude," one of them announced. "Earth Command has need of bright minds. Service in the fleet will give them food, training, and purpose." Whispers rose. Few trusted Earth Command, but fewer still could resist the promise of food and safety. Elias stood straight, eyes burning with excitement. He wanted nothing more than to go, to see the stars, to make his promise true. Mira, standing beside him, felt her stomach twist. The scanners passed over him and the device lit bright green. A soldier placed a hand on his shoulder. "This one qualifies." Mira's basket dropped to the ground. "No," she said. "You can't take him. He's just a boy." The soldier gave her a cold look. "The fleet needs him." Elias turned, heart racing, torn between fear and joy. "Mira, this is it. This is how I'll come back. I'll make good on my promise." Mira grabbed his hand, her voice shaking. "Don't go. You'll disappear. People who leave never return." "I'll return," Elias said. His grip was strong despite his small hand. "I swear it. When I'm grown, I'll come back with a ring." The soldiers pulled him gently but firmly away. Mira tried to hold on, but the hand slipped from hers. She was left staring at the shuttle doors as they closed, her heart pounding. The engines roared. The shuttle rose, shrinking against the sky until it was a bright dot among the stars Elias loved so much. Mira stood in the dust, clutching the charm he had given her long ago, a small piece of metal shaped like a star. She whispered to the empty sky, "You better keep your word, Elias." The night that followed was silent. The stars above no longer looked the same to Mira. They seemed distant, cruel, as if they had stolen something from her. But deep in her heart, she held on to his promise. Years passed like drifting sand through an hourglass. The dusty plains of Vera Colony were no longer Elias's home, yet he carried it everywhere. Its colors, its smells, the memory of Mira's hand in his. He had grown taller, stronger, a boy turned into a man by the harsh lessons of space. The fleet was nothing like the colony. Ships moved like silver fish in endless darkness, humming with energy and secrets. Elias had been trained in everything a child could dream of: navigation, alien languages, combat, and science beyond imagination. He had survived harsh drills, unforgiving mentors, and dangerous missions where only clever thinking saved lives. Yet even amid the stars, his mind often wandered back to a single promise: "I will come back for Mira." Mira, on the other hand, had not waited idly. She had grown too, strong, thoughtful, and resilient. She had taken her family's small farm and turned it into a community that survived despite scarcity. When alien raids struck the colony's outskirts, Mira led the people in clever defenses. Her courage had earned her respect, though she never sought it. Yet, in quiet moments, she would touch the little star-shaped charm Elias had given her as a child and wonder if he had truly gone, or if one day he would come back. Meanwhile, Elias learned that humans were no longer just fragile children in the galaxy. The stars had taught them to fight, to think, and to endure. Every mission brought him closer to the truth that humans had a stubborn spark other species envied. Even aliens, far stronger and smarter, hesitated before human fleets. Their weapons were advanced, yes, but human ingenuity and determination were harder to predict. Elias often stared at the stars outside the ship's viewport. He remembered Mira's face, how she laughed, how she had scolded him for looking at the sky instead of the ground. That memory, small and simple, had kept him alive more than once. When a star went supernova, when an alien ambush almost ended his life, it was the thought of keeping his word to Mira that pulled him through. Years blurred, missions rolled one into another, and yet the boy who promised to return remained unchanged in heart. In quiet moments he crafted the plan of his life: survive the fleet, learn the universe, and then go home. Not just home to the colony, but home to Mira. And he had the ring. Not yet forged, yet he knew what it would be. A small circle of shining metal, simple but perfect, carrying a promise that no star, no fleet, no alien power could erase. It was not just a ring, it was hope, memory, and a bond that even time could not break. Back on Vera Colony, Mira's world had grown heavier without Elias. She had become the voice of her people, the one who made difficult decisions while others quarreled. Her father had passed, her mother had grown frail, and the younger children looked up to her as a sister, a teacher, and a protector. Yet she never forgot. Each night, Mira would look up at the sky and whisper to the distant stars, "Come back, Elias. Keep your promise." Many nights she fell asleep hoping, though she told no one of her secret. Some called it foolish. Some said he was gone, lost, to the fleet or the void beyond the suns. But Mira, stubborn like all humans, refused to believe it. It was this stubbornness, this quiet defiance, that would make her strong enough to survive the trials ahead. Elias knew it would be. He had watched her in dreams, in memory, and he trusted her courage as much as his own. One day, news arrived from Earth Command. Elias would finally be granted leave. It was a rare opportunity. An adult fleet member could request to visit their homeworld, to see family or childhood communities. Most chose cities, grand colonies, or planets of opportunity. Elias chose Vera. He wanted nothing grand, nothing wealthy. He wanted Mira. Preparation took weeks. He studied maps of the colony, the small desert farms, the cracked plains, every path, every water source. He trained his mind and body knowing the colony had endured hardship. Perhaps it had changed. Perhaps Mira had changed. But he would recognize her, he thought. He would find her. Finally, the day came. Elias stepped aboard the small shuttle bound for Vera. Outside, the endless black of space stretched like a river of ink. The stars glimmered, distant but welcoming. He felt the pull of home stronger than the pull of the fleet. Each light reminded him of Mira, each glimmer a memory of the boy he had been and the man he had become. Even as the shuttle burned through the atmosphere, shaking against turbulence, Elias's heart did not waver. He pictured Mira running to meet him, the charm swinging in her hand, her eyes wide with recognition and disbelief. His hand hovered over the pocket that held the small, simple ring he had forged in secret aboard the fleet. It was made from rare. The shuttle landed with a soft tremor that shook the dry ground. Dust rose in thin clouds, settling over the cracked streets of Vera Colony. Elias stepped off carefully, taking in the sight before him. The world he had left as a boy was not the same. Buildings that had once been modest but sturdy were now half ruined. Cracks ran through the walls and some roofs had collapsed entirely. The marketplace was empty, its shelves bare. The wells were shallow, the water thin and brackish. The sun reflected off broken metal and debris, giving the settlement a harsh, unforgiving glare. Elias's heart sank, but he pressed forward. Every step was measured, cautious, yet driven by the same determination that had carried him through decades among the stars. He had returned for Mira and nothing else mattered. He asked the villagers, young and old, about her. Many recognized the boy-turned-man, but time had changed him. Stories of Mira's strength and leadership reached his ears. She had kept the colony alive, fending off small alien raids and harsh storms. She was no longer the girl he remembered, but a woman hardened by responsibility yet gentle in her way. Finally, he found her in the small community center, speaking to a group of farmers and children. Her hair had streaks of silver, her face marked by the sun and years of struggle. But her eyes, the same deep brown eyes he had remembered, met his, and for a moment, time seemed to pause. "Mira," he whispered, almost afraid to speak, afraid that time had stolen even this recognition from him. She turned, startled, her gaze locked onto him. "Elias?" Her voice was a mixture of disbelief and caution. "Is it really you?" He nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "It is. I promised, and I came back." Her eyes widened, searching his face, tracing the lines of a man who had once been a boy. She saw the strength in his posture, the resolve in his eyes, and the small glint of metal at his side, the ring he had carried all these years. You kept your word," she said softly. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached out, but Elias caught them before she could pull away. "I always said I would," he replied, his voice steady. "No matter what happened, I would return." For a moment they just stood, hands clasped, staring at each other. Memories of childhood laughter, of promises made under the twin suns washed over them both, but the present pressed in. The colony was weak, its people tired, its resources scarce, and in the distance, the faint hum of alien raiders could be heard, scouting the area for weakness. Elias's face hardened. "They're still out there," he said quietly. "They won't stop until they take what they want." Mira's jaw tightened. "We've survived this long," she said. "We'll survive more. But you're here now. Maybe we have a chance." Elias looked around at the colony, at the weary faces, at the broken homes. "I can help," he said. "I've learned much in the fleet. I can train your people, teach them tactics, help defend this place. We can fight smarter together." Mira studied him carefully, pride and caution mixing in her eyes. "You have changed," she said. "But I see..." I see the boy who promised me all those years ago. Elias smiled faintly. And I see the girl who waited, who never gave up, who made sure this colony survived, Mira. You've grown stronger than I ever imagined. They walked through the settlement together, Elias listening as Mira explained the hardships, the raids, and the small victories. Children stared at him, some whispering, some wide-eyed with curiosity. Adults nodded with cautious hope. The presence of a trained fleet member, someone who had seen the stars, gave them a spark of confidence they had long forgotten. By evening, the two stood on a small hill overlooking the colony. Fires burned in scattered homes, smoke curling into the dusky sky. Elias reached into his pocket, feeling the small ring he had carried across galaxies. It was a simple band of shining metal, forged from rare alloys humans had discovered, a symbol of promise and endurance. I brought this, he said quietly, holding it out. For you. Not just for me, but for us. For everything we've survived. For the future we can build together. Mira looked at the ring, her fingers brushing its smooth surface. She felt a mix of awe, disbelief, and something deeper. A warmth she had almost forgotten. Elias, it's beautiful, she whispered. But we have so much to do first. The colony, the people, everything is broken. Elias nodded. I know, that's why I'm here. Not just for the promise, but to help. We can fix this, we can survive, stronger than before. She looked at him, at the determination in his eyes, and felt hope stir in her chest. I believe you, she said softly. And maybe we can face whatever comes together. The night deepened around them, stars blazing in the clear sky above. For the first time in years, Mira allowed herself to feel something she had buried long ago. Hope. And Elias, standing beside her, felt the weight of decades lift slightly. He had returned just as he promised, and now the real work would begin, defending what they loved and building a future worth living for. But the universe was not patient. Distant hums, the warning signs of approaching raiders, reminded them that the peace of reunion was only temporary. The colony needed them, both their courage, their minds, and their hearts. And together they would have to rise, human ingenuity and determination against forces that underestimated them. Elias looked at Mira once more. We'll face it all, but I'll stay this time. I swear it. Mira nodded, gripping his hand. Then let's not waste another moment. Our home, our people, they need us. As the twin suns set behind the horizon, the stars above seemed to shine a little brighter. Two lives, separated by time and distance, had reunited. But the real journey, the fight for survival, hope, and a future, was only just beginning. The Sikh dawn came with a harsh wind, carrying dust across the broken plains of Vera Colony. Fires from the previous day's repairs still glowed in small clusters, lighting the paths where the colonists moved. Elias and Mira stood atop the highest ridge, overlooking the settlement. The weight of years apart pressed heavily upon them, but there was no time for sentiment. They had a war to prepare for. Elias reached into his pocket and pulled out the small, simple ring he had carried across the stars. It was a circle of shining metal, forged from rare alloys that humans had learned to craft in secret, a combination of strength and beauty. He held it carefully, as though the very future rested on it. Mira, he said quietly, this isn't just a promise between us. It's more. It's a symbol of what humanity can do, of hope, ingenuity, and strength. No alien can take it, no force can break it. It's ours. Mira looked at the ring, and then into his eyes. She saw the fire of determination, the same fire that had carried him through years of fleet training and battles. She felt something shift inside her, a renewed belief in what they could achieve together. We can't waste time admiring it, she said with a half smile. They'll strike soon, and our people are tired. We need to train, plan, and protect our home. Elias nodded. I've seen fleets larger than anything you can imagine, but they make mistakes, small ones, and humans, Humans can take advantage of those mistakes. We'll teach the colony to fight smart, not just strong. He spent the next hours moving from group to group, showing farmers and children, miners and teachers how to use the terrain, how to defend narrow paths, and how to use simple tools in clever ways. Mira watched him, pride swelling in her chest. The boy she had grown up with had become a man of strategy, courage, and unwavering commitment. Use the rocks to your advantage, Elias instructed. High ground gives you vision. Don't fight their strength head-on. Make them underestimate you. The colonists listened, hesitant at first, but the truth in Elias's voice and the calm authority in Mira's guidance soon drew them in. Even the children, usually restless, trained in small teams, carrying simple shields and slings with determination. The settlement began to hum with preparation, the kind of energy that comes when hope and fear collide. By evening, scouts reported, alien raiders approaching. Elias felt the familiar tension of battle, not fear, but readiness. Mira's hand brushed his, a silent acknowledgement that they were together in this. "Are you ready?" she asked. "I was born ready," he replied, though he knew every human. Life at risk made him cautious. "And so are you. Together we'll show them what humans can do." The raiders appeared on the horizon as small, dark shapes, moving steadily toward the colony. At first the humans hesitated, but then Elias raised his hand, signaling them forward. The battle began not with a charge but with strategy. Traps hidden in sand, fires set along pathways, and ambushes designed to confuse and frighten the enemy. Elias moved among the colonists, directing, encouraging, teaching. Mira stood beside him, her voice calm yet commanding, giving orders that saved lives and guided fighters. The raiders, expecting an easy conquest, found themselves facing something they had not anticipated, a united people, clever and unyielding. "Flank the right side," Elias shouted. "Use the high rocks, don't let them break our line." Mira turned to a group of younger fighters. "Remember your training. Stay calm, stay focused, protect the children and the homes." Hours passed like minutes. The humans fought with desperation and intelligence, using every advantage they could find. The raiders were strong, but they underestimated the spirit and ingenuity of humanity. The sun rose pale over Vera Colony, casting long shadows across the cracked streets and burnt-out fields. Fires from the previous day had died down, leaving the air thick with smoke and ash. But the colonists were not idle. They moved with purpose, repairing, cleaning, and preparing. The taste of victory from the first battle was still fresh, yet everyone knew the danger had not passed. Elias and Mira walked among the people, inspecting defenses and guiding plans. Their bond had grown stronger with every challenge, a silent, understanding passing between them. They had faced the first wave together, but more raiders could come. And humanity, no matter how clever or brave, needed to stand united. "Everyone, listen." Elias called to a gathering of farmers and miners, some still carrying bandages from yesterday's battle. "The raiders will not give up easily. They may return with more ships. We cannot simply hope to survive. We must fight smart, together. Use the terrain, use your tools, and most importantly, trust one another." The colonists nodded. They had learned quickly from Elias's strategies, and under Mira's steady leadership, they had become more confident. Children ran small exercises, practicing alertness and quick thinking. Adults drilled in defending narrow passes, building barricades and handling the makeshift weapons Elias had taught them to craft. "This is not just about survival," Mira added, her voice carrying through the small square. "It is about proving that humans will not bow to fear. We are clever, resilient, and strong. If they think we are weak, they will regret it." As the day wore on, scouts reported movement on the horizon, dark specks glinting in the sun, approaching faster than before. The colony tensed. Elias and Mira exchanged a look. The second wave was coming. This time it would be bigger, faster, and more dangerous. Elias gathered the fighters. "We fight as one. Remember yesterday's lessons. Use what you have. Think before you act and never give in to fear." Humanity stands tall not because of machines or weapons, but because we do not surrender. Today we show them why they underestimated us. Mira's eyes scanned the lines of people, young and old, tired, but determined. She felt pride swell in her chest. These were not trained soldiers, but ordinary humans who had been forced to fight for their homes. And yet they had adapted, learned, and grown stronger. Humanity's ingenuity was at work in every barricade, every hidden trap, and every clever maneuver they had planned. The raiders struck with speed and precision. Their ships hovered above the colony, discharging soldiers who rushed toward the buildings and streets. But the humans were ready. Farmers with sharpened tools ambushed them from behind rocks. Children set simple but effective traps. Adults used fire, sand, and ingenuity to block paths and confuse the enemy. Elias moved through the battlefield, directing groups, moving with skill learned over years in the fleet. Mira stayed at the center, a calm voice amidst chaos, rallying the colonists and giving them hope. Their combined leadership was a beacon, a symbol that humans, even ordinary ones, could rise to meet impossible odds. "Don't let them break the lines," Elias shouted. "Use the high ground, move in teams, protect each other." "Focus," Mira's voice rang out steady and clear. "We are stronger together. Keep your heads and fight with your hearts." The battle stretched for hours. The aliens were better armed and more numerous, but they had not expected the cleverness of human resistance. Each time they advanced, they found traps and ambushes waiting. Each time they regrouped, they faced quick, coordinated counterattacks. Human determination, ingenuity, and courage shone brightly. Finally, the raiders faltered. Confused by unexpected tactics, exhausted by the unrelenting defense, they began to retreat. The colonists, though battered and tired, held their ground. Vera Colony had survived again, not because of overwhelming power, but because humans refused to surrender. Elias and Mira stood on the ridge overlooking the battlefield, their faces smudged with dust and sweat. The colonists cheered, their voices echoing across the plains. Children ran to safety, while adults repaired barricades and tended to the injured. Elias pulled Mira close. "We did it," he said, voice full of relief and pride. "We showed them what humans are capable of." Mira smiled, her hand brushing against the small ring on her finger. "Yes, but more than that, we showed ourselves. We are not weak. We are strong, clever, and united. Humanity stands tall." Elias nodded. "And we will continue to stand tall. This colony, these people, they are just the beginning. Humans are meant to endure, to adapt, and to rise above any challenge." The twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the settlement. Smoke and dust still lingered, but the colony had survived. More than survived. They had grown stronger, smarter, and braver. Humanity had proven itself once again, not by conquering others, but by refusing to be conquered. Mira and Elias looked to the sky, feeling the weight of the day lift slightly. "This is only one battle," Mira said softly. "But it is a start." Elias's eyes reflected the stars beginning to shine in the darkening sky. "And we'll face every challenge together. Humanity is not just survivors. We are creators, thinkers, and fighters. No matter what comes, we will endure." The colonists, inspired by the courage and strategy of their leaders, returned to their homes with renewed hope. Fires were tended, walls repaired, and food distributed. For the first time in many years, Vera Colony felt more alive than ever before. Elias took Mira's hand once more. The ring gleamed faintly in the starlight, a reminder of promises kept, of courage found, and of the future they could build together. Humanity had risen, and the story of their resilience had only just begun. Above them, the stars glittered brightly, silent witnesses to the unyielding spirit of humans. The universe had underestimated them, but it would soon learn that humans, when united and determined, could face any threat and prevail. The night sky stretched endlessly above Vera Colony, dotted with stars that seemed to burn brighter than ever. Fires from the day's battle had long since cooled, and the air was quiet. filled with the low murmur of humans caring for the wounded and rebuilding what had been damaged. Elias stood atop the ridge once more, the small ring in his pocket pressing against his palm. He had carried it across galaxies, across decades, not just as a symbol of his promise to Mira, but as a reminder of humanity's enduring spirit. Every trial he had faced, every battle he had survived, had led him to this moment. Mira approached, her step steady and calm. Dust clung to her clothes and hair, but her posture was upright, her gaze fierce yet warm. She had been through years of hardship, leading the colony through droughts, raids, and scarcity, yet she remained unbroken. Elias watched her for a moment, remembering the girl she had been and marveling at the woman before him. "I can't believe you really came back," she said softly, voice full of emotion. "After all this time." "I said I would," he replied, sliding the ring from his pocket. The metal glinted in the starlight. "And I always keep my promises." Mira's eyes widened as she saw it. The ring was simple, yet it carried a weight far greater than its size. Years of hope, courage, and love. "Elias, it's perfect," she whispered. He took her hands gently. "Not just for me. For us. For what humans can do when we refuse to bow. You kept this colony alive, led these people, and never gave up hope. That's the kind of strength that inspires me. You inspired me all these years." Tears filled Mira's eyes, though she blinked them away, refusing to let them fall. "You've grown into a man I hardly recognize," she said. "But I see the boy I waited for in your eyes. You really kept your word." Elias smiled, a small, proud curve of lips. "I promised under the twin suns, and I've come back to honor that promise. Will you marry me, Mira? Not as a child, but as a man who has seen the stars and survived the trials of the universe. Will you stand with me, not just as my heart, but as my equal in all things?" Mira took a deep breath. Looking out over the colony she had protected for so long, she saw the faces of the people who depended on her, who had endured hardships and now stood alive because of courage, wisdom, and determination. And then she looked back at Elias, the boy who had promised, the man who had returned. "Yes," she said finally, voice clear and firm. "I will. I waited all these years. I believed in you, in us, and in humanity. Let this ring be our promise, our symbol, and our strength." Elias slid the ring onto her finger. The metal was cool against her skin, yet it seemed to hum with energy, a reminder of human ingenuity and resilience. They stood together hand in hand, feeling the weight of years melt away. But the world around them was not silent. Scouts reported distant alien ships approaching, smaller than before but faster, intent on testing the colony once more. Elias and Mira exchanged a glance. Their union was not only personal, it was symbolic. Humanity had survived, but it would not stop here. "Together," Elias said, voice firm. "We face them together." Mira nodded. "We will not falter. This colony, these people, our home, they are worth everything. And humans, we endure." The alien ships advanced, but this time the colony was ready. Elias had trackered Elias and